The next factor that influences Macbeth to kill the king is the concept of peer pressure. In this instance, the peer that's going to pressure him is Lady Macbeth. We're going to see that she's going to use 5 different modes of pressure, and we're going to go into detail about each one. What we're going to see in this dialogue between Macbeth and Lady Macbeth is that Macbeth is going to come to the realization that he does in fact not want to kill the king and that it's a bad idea to kill the king. However, he put the idea in Lady Macbeth's head by sending that letter. And Lady Macbeth is going to push to try to get Macbeth to kill the king. And the methods that she's going to use are going to kind of be passive aggressive to get him to change his mind. So the first attempt that she uses is she compliments him. She sees him and she's like, "Oh, great Glamis, worthy Cawdor, greater than both by the all hail hereafter." And she starts off by, complimenting him and making him seem powerful. And then she goes right in and is like, "Are you going to kill the king?" And he says no. So the first method is complimenting him, which does end up failing. It doesn't work. He doesn't actually get convinced by this method. In trying to convince Macbeth to kill the king, Lady Macbeth also uses seduction. This is more done on the stage when you see the play actually being performed. Basically in this line where it'll say, "Bear welcome in your eye, your hand, your tongue, look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent underneath." In that, there is a sexual innuendo about the serpent underneath, and they always show Lady Macbeth being very seductive with the way that she has this conversation with Macbeth. And this is, again, just another strategy that she tries to use. Now, Macbeth still is going to adamantly deny having a desire to kill the king after this, so she's still losing in this instance. So the seduction doesn't actually work. Another strategy that Lady Macbeth used is the concept of mothering. In this instance, she tries to assure Macbeth that she'll take care of all the details. And this concept of mothering would encourage him, not to worry about things, that she'll take care of it. He just has to actually do the act. So when she says, "To later favor ever is to fear, leave all the rest to me." This is just another strategy that she's trying to utilize to get Macbeth to actually kill the king. Another method that Lady Macbeth uses to try to pressure Macbeth into killing the king is to insult him. This is a classic way that peer pressure is utilized. So she goes off to say, "Was the hope drunk wherein you dressed yourself? Hath it slept since? And wakes it now to look so green and pale? And what did it so freely from this time, such I account thy love? Art thou afeard to be the same in thine own act and valor as thou art in desire? Would thou have that which thou esteem the ornament of life, and live a coward in thine own esteem, letting I dare not wait up, I would, like the poor cat at large?" So what we have here is a situation where she is saying, you were this brave man who was all fired up about this prophecy when you wrote me that letter, but where is he now? You're a coward. You're going to spend the rest of your life saying coulda, shoulda, woulda. And she's really hoping that by embarrassing him and humiliating him, that's going to motivate him to then want to kill the king. This is ineffective. She's going at him from several different angles, and it's not until we get to the last method of guilt that he does actually decide to kill the king. So now we have our final method that Lady Macbeth is going to use, and it has to deal with guilt. And what she goes on to say, it's a very odd statement, and it kind of makes us wonder what the nature of the relationship was in the past. But she goes on to say, "I have given suck, and know how tender 'tis to love the babe that milks me. I would, while it was smiling in my face, have plucked my nipple from his boneless gums and dashed the brains out, had I so sworn as you have done to this." Now, this is an odd image. I mean, essentially what she's saying is that if she had told him, "I would kill a baby," she would still do that. She was saying, she's giving this imagery of having a baby breastfeeding and her pulling the baby away and then smashing its brain. This is a really odd imagery, and what's really even more odd about it is the fact that it's this that Macbeth then decides to consider killing the king, which kind of makes you wonder, is this something that did happen in their past? Did she kill a child? And now she's using that against him to get him to kill the king now? And it's really kind of a huge question mark that's in Macbeth. Now, you can look at the history of Macbeth, and there actually was a Lady Macbeth character, and history does show that they did have a child. She had a child from a previous marriage. So that did end up dying. However, whether or not she was responsible for killing him, I don't really know. But in this scenario, in this imagery, it really kind of shows this idea that there's something between them, and as a result, she can utilize guilt to pressure him into killing the king. And this is the big one. This is the one that ends up getting him to kill the king.